This video sponsored by Meeple Movers. No minimum order, no subscriptions. Free shipping on every item, every day. At meeplemovers.com.
Hello and welcome to Brian's Not Game. I'm Brian. Today I've got a game called Fantasy Baseball. Fantasy Baseball is a 1-to-5 player card drafting game by Daryl Andrews and J.R. Honeycutt and published by CSE Games. In this game, players start by drafting a team of fantastical creatures to play baseball. They then begin by playing a regular season of games. Each card has a different set of attributes with skill points that vary player to player. Throughout the season, the manager will choose optimal lineups for each game. Player with the highest skill value in the required attribute will win the matchup. At the end of the regular season, 2 players with the most points move on to the championship and play a head-to-head best-of-7 game series. So let's check it out, and I'll show you how to upgrade players on waivers, how to pick up some wins with the score track, and how to mix things up with event cards in Fantasy Baseball. To set up, place the baseball diamond in the center of the table, and then place all of the win cards in the center of the diamond. Then give each player their own Manager Mat and Manager Wizard Mini, along with 5 of their baseball pins. So we have 4 of those. Then also take the stat track we have here. Normally you'd have it on, but for table space I'm going to keep it off. This is where you're going to keep all of your scores here, and then of course ball strike out. So I'm going to keep this out, and I'll refer to it later. Then randomly determine a start player. Let's do Brown. So then you put them first on the waiver order track. They are going to be last on the turn order. And then fill in the other players. Blue, purple, and white. Once you've played a couple of times, introduce these events. You put them on each one, and then it would influence that place. So this one is 1 random character on each team is injured. And plus or minus 1 to all stats, and so on for those events. Alright, then take the deck, and then you would separate it into the 5 different ranks, which would be Hall of Fame, All-Star, Pro, Specialist, and Rookie. And then you'd give each player a set of All-Star, Hall of Famer, Pro, Specialist, and 3 rookies. So now let's go over the cards. So the first one is Hall of Famer. So he's best. He's got a pretty good spread and high values in 2 of them and lower in 2, but it's different for a couple of these. So this guy, this All-Star has a bunch, and then we've got a Pro, so he's pretty good. Then we've got a Specialist who's really good in 2 things, and then rookies can be equally low, high, pretty good. So also on these cards is you have good or evil there, and then they also have a magical ability. So this one is for this guy, and he's a helper, so use the magic from your active character this week. So you can use other, so you play it and then you use the one on the guy there. When this guy's on your bench and the other guy's down there, then you use his ability. So you're going to give each player a set of these cards, but this is not their set roster. That wouldn't be like Fantasy Baseball or Fantasy Baseball. So it's a draft. So what we're going to do is you're going to pick what you want from these cards. So a good choice for the first 2 rounds will be the Hall of Famer and then the All-Star. But if you happen to like one of the other cards better, has better ability, better spread of abilities, then you might want to pick a different one. So I'm going to go through and pick all the Hall of Famers from each one. And on some of these, if you pick your Hall of Famer, he's got the 10, 2, 9, 3 right there. And then if you want to pick the All-Star from the next one, it will depend on how he does well. So right now we've got a really weak green ability. So on your next pick, you might want to pick something that has a very high green to make up. So you want a good spread throughout all of the cards. So that would be a good first 3 cards there. So let's fast forward to the draft, where each player has a set of cards. Alright, so after each player has a 7-card hand, you then discard one of your cards. So you can kind of look at what we've got, and I like my green. I have a lot of blues and a lot of red. So I think I'm going to discard this rookie. So goodbye to this rookie. That's 1. Here, got a good stance on blue, and then you're just going to discard cards from each of those. You are now ready to begin. In a game, you will play through a regular season and the playoffs. So you'll play 3 rounds, 3 one for each month in baseball terms, and then you'll have playoffs. So for each month or game, you flip over a win card for each place. Then the next step is free agency, which you will skip in the first month. So then you set your rosters. So to set your rosters, you look at the stats on each track. Alright, so let's take a look at this. So first it has the number of wins you get if you win this card. Then it says ERA and K, which are these two things, so strikeouts and earned run average. It's just things on your cards. They're the stats. You've got batters and pitchers on here, which black and white, respectively. And then these are stat track. That's what you do if you win. So you'd get yours. So for this instance, you would get orange and green, which is that one and that one. So if you won that, you'd get both. And you can get more points if you have a majority of one of them. So that's why you want to pay attention to those. So now we're going to build our rosters. So looking at these, we want to pick the cards that go best with that. So we've got there's a 4 for batting, and that looks like the best we've got. We have this rookie that hits 4. Well, this is a good all-star. So we're going to put the rookie there, up at the top. So we're going to put him upside down right there to correspond to second base. And then we're going to look at the others. We got 2 plus 9. That's pretty good. That's 11. And then you just go through and pick the best choice for each one. And if you don't have anything really good, well, you just got to do your best. I'm going to put that there. And this guy actually had a really great score in most of them. So this guy's going to do pretty well. So each player builds their roster. So the leftover 2 cards you have are on your bench. So you can use their magical abilities during that round. So once you've built your roster and you are ready, you place your wizard mini on it. It's just a symbol so everybody knows when you are done. So each player builds their roster. Then simultaneously, each player will flip over their first baseman, and then we will begin at the person in the beginning of the turn order, which is white. So white has an opportunity to play a magic card. Right now, they are not winning because they are 6-10. Neither of these guys had runs. And so let's say none of his magic cards, guys on the bench, will do anything to help him, so he won't. So now this player wins this. So they get 1 win, and later they'll get +1 on the orange stat track. So now they have this win card. Then we flip, so that player had a chance to play magic. This player is going to play magic. They're going to play, this player is going to play this here, their all-star, swap 2 future win cards. So they're going to put that there and that there. So now each player is going to flip over their second base, and everybody prepared for a different card. So now nobody's going to be able to score unless somebody accidentally put something wrong. So everybody had bat there, so this player wins with a 2. So they get 2 wins and those. So on the first round, I forgot, you want to put these pegs on first. So we got 1 on orange. Now, after each game, the players who have the least amount of wins, so we have 1 the first round, now we have 3, that moves us up on orange and then green, can advance one of their own. But we're going to say that they can only move it up if that player already has 1 there. So at that point, that is nobody. Alright, so then we're going to reveal the third one, and since this player swapped them, this player is probably going to win again. And that is correct. This player wins another one, so they have 3 wins, and they get green, yellow, and orange. Alright, so this player is doing very well. We got to score 6, and we got to score 9, and zeros on them. So this player, blue, gets a win on green. In case of a tie in resolving one of these while it's out here, good will beat evil. So the player or players with the least amount of wins become first on the waiver order track. If there's a tie, like there is now, they will stay the same relative to each other, so they won't switch or for any weird reason. Alright, then cleanup. Everybody picks up all of their cards. So So then you prepare the next games by flipping over the win cards. And this time there's a free agency round. In the free agency round, you flip over the character cards equal to the amount of managers playing plus 2. So that would be 6. Alright, beginning with the player first in the waiver order, which would be purple, they can take one of their cards and swap it with one of the cards in here. For instance, we want to swap a rookie for a specialist here. You put the card down there, and then you have there. So then the next player in the draft would be white, can then take their cards and swap from there, and so on, going around to each player. Once the draft is over, you gather up all the cards, then you set your rosters, and you play ball. You finish that round, score it the exact same way, moving up the pegs on there, and then you do it again, doing the exact same thing we just did, another round. And that is the end of the normal season. At that point, you would take the stat track, put it, and then you will look at the different stats, and then you'd score points for each thing. You do this handy dandy in the chart in the rules. You score up all the points, and then the player who is first and second will play in a championship game. So then the games are reduced to 2 players. At the beginning of each game, you will shuffle the entire thing to increase the chances of getting some different cards out here. So you'll flip them all over, and then you will just play normal rounds with the 2 players until a player has won 4 games. And if it gets to game 5, the cards that you played in game 1 will go back up into your hand. So after a player wins 4 games, that person is then the winner of Fantasy Baseball. Okay, I've got my dad here for Parent Spin. So Dad, what do you think of Fantasy Baseball?
I thought Fantasy Baseball was really fun. I do like drafting. That is my favorite game mechanic, and this one did not disappoint.
All right. So components, the cards are nice, the linen finish, and then the cool baseball pegs, and then the minis, the managers.
Minis.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was a Kickstarter, so I don't know if some of the things were added throughout the campaign as stretch goals. So I don't know, some of the pieces in the box we were like, what is this for?
Yeah.
Like the no crying in baseball thing. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then the minis don't do anything except sit there on your thing.
Yeah, they look cool.
They do.
So the artwork. So the artwork on it is really cool. You got your fantasy guys playing baseball.
Yeah, when I saw this one, I thought, oh, that's really cool. You have orcs and elves and all your fantasy guys out there playing baseball, which is kind of ironic and funny, but
and then they're using their powers to cheat a little.
Oh yeah, that is kind of cool. It kind of really gets
or
into
bend the rules, not cheating.
Yeah, they don't cheat. They're using their abilities.
Yeah. So strategy. This is a strategic game. You see the cards, and then you have to choose which ones you're going to play a little lower on to be able to get a higher score on another one.
Yeah, as with most drafting games, if you have
picking your cards.
If you have a good memory, then that will be good for you.
Yeah.
As you pass those cards around. Although I guess if you're playing in a 4-player game, and you start with 7 cards, I guess you'll see them once again. So not a whole lot of memory there, I guess, but
yeah. 2-player game is like okay.
Yeah, I did feel that there was some luck involved. I mean, you could make a well-rounded team, but it's also luck of the draw of the win cards that get flipped over.
Yeah, but that's part of the strategy, playing those cards there.
And maybe your ability, using your abilities at the right time. Switching the games around, kind of like you did in the how-to.
Oh yeah,
could really mess somebody up and be really good for you.
Yeah. So easier for kids, I wouldn't really say a lot. It's a very strategic game, lots of things happening, a lot of strategy.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of reading.
It's super easy to pick up.
Maybe if they played baseball and they liked orcs. No, this one is really good. If you like baseball or playing fantasy baseball or fantasy type football games where you're not really playing the game. You're playing fantasy baseball. So if you like those, I think this one would appeal to you. Also, if you like drafting, I think it would appeal to you. I remember when we played the first time. We got to the championship game and we were playing the series, the championship series, and we were standing up. Everybody, was looking at the last game. When people stand up when they play a game, you know that it's good, right? Like the tension and the anticipation was there, and so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. So overall, I had a lot of fun with this game. The components, the artwork, and then the strategy and putting your cards there, and then the drafting the cards. That was cool. And then, of course, the kind of like an open draft in the
waivers.
The waivers.
Yeah.
In between
free agency period.
Free agency period in between each game.
Yeah, I thought it was full of theme. You kind of feel like you're playing fantasy baseball, not really real baseball. But you got your draft and your waivers and all of those things.
That's what it's supposed to feel like.
That you pay attention to when you're playing fantasy baseball. I'm really excited for fantasy football.
Yeah.
That is coming out very soon. And then I did hear that there is fantasy hockey, which will be the third one in the series.
Oh.
For all you hockey fans.
All right. That's it. Fantasy football by CSE Games.
Baseball. Huh? Football's coming out this year.
Oh, I said football. Baseball. Fantasy baseball by CSE. Thank you for watching Brian's Got Game. Please like us on our Facebook page. Send us a tweet at Brian's Got Game. Visit our webpage, briansgotgame.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Brian's Bad Ad. See you next time.